Alright guys, welcome back. Got another manga spotlight here for you today. I am your host, Ice Dragon Rayron VR. Today we are looking at Citrus Volume 1. So let's go ahead and take a look at the back here and see what we've got. Alright, so we got Arhara Yuzu, a high school girl whose main interests are fashion, friends, and having fun, is about to get a reality check. Due to her mom's remarriage, Yuzu has transferred to a new all-girls school that is extremely strict. Her real education is about to begin. From day one, happy-go-lucky Yuzi, I don't know how to spell that or pronounce that, makes enemies, namely the beautiful yet stern student council president, May. So what happens when a dejected Yuzu returns home and discovers the shock of her life that May is actually her new stepsister who comes to live with her. Even more surprising when May catches Yuzu off guard and kisses her out of the blue. What does it all mean? Now that is a ton of spoilers. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and say spoiler alerts, but we'll talk about all that here soon. So, but with that, it is older teen at 16 plus. I would argue that it should be mature because there are definitely a lot of mature elements to this particular manga. So, in my opinion, I think it should be mature. So, definitely don't want youngsters kind of getting a hold of this. But with that, guys, it's got a MSRP of $13.99. I think again I got this for like $5. Thank you, Facebook Marketplace. But, anyways, it's also produced by Seven Seas Entertainment at Go Manga. So, with that, guys, I will be talking about spoilers. So, if you don't want to get spoiled, feel free to watch this video at a later time. So, with that, we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. So, I don't think there's any table of contents in this one. No. Okay. So, with that, let's go ahead and dive right into it. So, we got our main characters. Obviously, we got Yuzu and we got May. So, the way this starts out is that we've got one of our main protagonists, Yuzu, basically has to just recently dumped a boyfriend. Doesn't go too much into detail because that's only like one panel. But we go and basically follow her through this journey of that her mom recently remarried with a new guy. I don't think they say the name of the new dad or stepdad, but all that it's implied is that he's not at home. He's constantly traveling because of work, and so as a result, there is a stepsister involved, which we'll go into that in a little bit. But as a result, she is forced to go from. It felt like she came from a school that was very loose, lenient, because she's definitely kind of the wild trigger type of personality that she doesn't follow rules really well. She's definitely a rebellious type of individual. And so she now has to try to adjust to a strict uniform all girls school. And needless to say, that doesn't go well. Very rebellious. And so we then get introduced to the secretary of the all girls school. And then she's just very strict, wears glasses, very stereotypical of a strict superintendent, and just tells her that you can't wear your hair like that, you can't dress like that. There's strict rules and uniform standards and so forth. But then after that, then our protagonist, Yuzu, then meets the student council president, which is May, which is right here, which you guys can kind of figure out, put 1 plus 1 together and see what's kind of going on here. But anyways, gets a introduction to the council president, and I'm trying to figure out what I should say about May respectfully. Her personality traits are definitely flirtatious at best, if I can say that. She's a very flirty individual. And so, yeah, so these two finally meet, and then the typical school day goes through. One particular day, our main character here, Yuzu, finds May, I guess, for the lack of a better phrase, being kissed by a student teacher, which again, this is why I think this should be mature, because there's a lot of aspects of just, there's something else weird going on. And so as we later discover, Yuzu finds out that this teacher is actually having an affair with May, and that goes to hell really quick, which we'll talk about that in a second. But anyways, we get into kind of the rebellious aspect of Yuzu, which is one day when she goes to school, she also gets introduced to the chairman of the school, which, again, there's a lot of just weird things happening here. The chairman is the grandfather of the student council president. So, conflict of interest much? So, there's a problem there, to say the least. So, but yeah, there's a few plot issues with this, but in order for all this to work, it's crazy. But anyways, May gets into, not May, Yuzu gets into kind of an argument with the grandfather, aka chairman of the school, because the chairman, again, is very strict, uniform standards and so forth. And then basically Yuzu kind of badmouths him, and he pretty much says, "Okay, you're suspended from school." Got it. Very crazy. So, yeah, it's definitely quite something of a story. And then May then moves into with the stepmom, and that's when we realize that, oh, Yuzu now has a stepsister, which is May. Small world, isn't it? And so we start to see this, lack of a better phrase, it is a drama-driven, romantic kind of relationship between these two. And so it gets kind of interesting. I'll just leave it at that. Again, this should be mature. That's going to be the common thing for this particular manga series. But anyways, and so we start to see this, steamy relationship kind of develop between the two. But she is doing it more to shut her up. She's trying to figure out her internal feelings. And so, yeah, they go on from that. So kind of the next big thing that happens, we start to see how I can phrase this. There's a lot of interesting. It's really, again, mature. It's a mature manga. But anyways, she pulls off a stunt. Again, she's the type of person that doesn't follow the rules. So at a school assembly, Yuzu had the great idea that she is going to speak in front of the entire school during an assembly and spout out that May is being used by the student teacher and she doesn't agree with the rules that's going on with the school and everything, and thinking that she is doing May a favor. Well, that backfires in so many different ways. So what ends up happening is that Yuzu gets basically expelled from the school. And as a result, May also was forced to move out from the stepmom's place, her mother, Yuzu's mother. And she was forced to live back with the grandfather, with the chairman. And so Yuzu tries to do the right thing and tries to comfort May, trying to explain to herself that she didn't realize that, her actions would cause this, which I was very appreciative to see, that because of her actions, her careless actions actually had consequences. And it's actually storytelling that, you can't just be wild like that and not expect to have consequences. She suffers consequences here because now she's lost her stepsister, which is starting to have some romantic feelings for her. Her mom is now crying because now she thinks she's a bad mom. And so it's really caused a lot of issues. So, again, great to see that we actually have conflict and consequences with actions. It's great to see. And so she tries to mend the relationship, but then the chairman, the grandfather, kind of walks in on them, and he basically says, you can't be here anymore. Don't see the daughter again. And so, Yuzu being Yuzu, she wasn't going to take no as an answer because she wants to fight for the happiness, and she wants May to be happy as well because she wants to be this older sister. But again, there's relationship feelings there, so again, it's kind of conflicted, which is again good to see that there's confliction in feelings. Again, that's part of storytelling. That's how you build a proper character and a plot and relationships and love. So it's great to see that. And so she was going to have basically an argument, fight with the chairman, the grandfather, her step grandfather. But when she walks into his office, he actually suffers a medical condition, and then she basically was able to call 911, get an ambulance out there, and then she basically takes care of the grandfather all the way through to the hospital and making sure that the grandfather's okay, which then builds the relationship back up with May. And then what's nice to see about this is that, the grandfather, had a epiphany and realized that, hey, you took care of me. If it wasn't for you, I would have been dead. And so the grandfather basically reinstates her back into the school and allows her to see May again, and May is allowed to go back with her stepmother, her biological mother. And so we start to see again this conflict and very stressful romance that goes back and forth between these two. And so, May is basically saying, hey, I'm kissing you because I want you to shut up. There's nothing here besides that. And so that's why she's actually kind of a dick in this volume. I would even argue that originally I thought the grandfather was going to be antagonist, but he does a 180. But she actually becomes the antagonist here, which you start to see that duality of the protagonist and antagonist trying to have some sort of feelings relationship thing. So it's interesting when it gets to the very end, and then she wants to fight to have something more than just stepsisters and so forth. And that is pretty much how the end of volume 1 happens. So with that, this type of book is not my typical one that I would think I would get interested in, but again, I am a sucker for good storytelling and good character development. That seems to be my biggest draw when it comes into these type of stories. The world it's basic. It's a very basic world. It's Tokyo, it's school, and then the place I go to. So I wasn't really drawn in by this from the world. That's usually my number one thing I look for. The second being character development. And my God, these characters are really well thought out and developed, and you actually get to see action with consequences and fighting for what you believe in, and it's great character arcs, and I'm really curious to see where it goes. So again, I do strongly recommend that this should be a mature, not necessarily older teen, just because there are a lot of adult related themes with this. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that this should be a mature. But other than that, that's pretty much my manga spotlight. I did enjoy it, so excited to see where it goes. But with that, guys, if you got any manga that I should spotlight, feel free to leave a comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe. If you enjoy what I'm doing here, feel free to support my work down below. Thank you guys so much for watching the spotlight on Citrus Volume 1, and I'll see you on the next video.